Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You guys know it already, but if you are new, this is our YouTube yacht project. It is a boat-shaped themed rental cabin we're building out in the middle of the woods because we can. Because we can. And we're headed upstairs up our fantastic custom welded staircase that we did. We got windows installed upstairs on the previous video, including windows up in the wheelhouse. And in today's video, the goal is to try to get this radius wall framed up and the rest of the framing up here. There's a small bathroom that goes up here as well. Try to get some of that framing knocked out as well so that by the end of it, we can get the template made for the final landing on that spiral staircase. Let's get started. So we've got everything cut already for the top plate radius and the bottom plate radius, and here's the way we did it down below. You can see it's just a glue lam style plywood top plate. So we got to do that same thing on this base plate. This is the first time I've ever done radius walls. This is the first time I've ever built a spiral staircase. So far, happy with it, but we are changing the way we're doing this transition versus the way we did the transition on the first floor between the first floor and the basement, which means I need just a minute to ponder. I think that'll work. May not be the best way, but it's the way we're doing it. So here's what we're doing. We've got to cut out some subfloor to match that radius. Now down below, I did a glue lam style band board and it turned out okay, but I wasn't super happy with it. But what I realized was I don't really have to have a solid band board there. I just have to have enough that whenever I go put on whatever veneer we put on the inside of this radius, which tentatively is just going to be 2 layers of 1/4 inch drywall and then some paneling on top of it, I've got something to fasten it to so it can hold the radius. But what I did to cut out the subfloor on the main level was, since I did have that solid band board, I just used a flush cut router bit and routed around it so it matched perfectly. Well, since we're not doing that style band board on this level, I got to come up with another way to cut that subfloor so it matches. What we're doing is we're starting out with cutting out 4 triangles of this 3/4 ply. Then we're going to set that 3/4 ply down onto the opening in their respective places. And I'm going to go through in what has to be the most inefficient way possible and just mark where each individual stud is and where the top plate is. And then we'll pop those out, cut them out the jigsaw, put them down into place, and we're going to make that work. There's probably a better way. There's probably 10 better ways, but it's the way I could come up with off the top of my head this morning. And it's what we're gonna do. Well, that's something. There's still some unknowns for sure, but we're just figuring it out as we go. Let's get that bottom plate piece together. We'll kind of get her laid out in place first. I labeled these, but I don't know what the labels mean, so that's something. Figured it out. Had them in the wrong order. Now we got her going though. So we'll get everything glued together, nailed together, and then we'll nail it down in place. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but surprisingly, fella still has to say it. How did I already forget? Nope, I got it. All right. Like that. If you remember, we just got to get it lined up best we can now, and then we're going to have some intimate time with the sander at some point in the future. There ain't no nails. Oh. So we're gonna go around and start getting this thing anchored down exactly where it needs to be. We'll use a straight edge. My laser, we'll start this corner with the laser, which is the same way we put the top plate in. So we're just carrying laser line around. Oh, that's my eye. All right, so that's good. So that's right on. Basically every spot I've got a splice here that's the same as a splice there. We're just, oh, it's just heavy. We're just matching those up on the laser. This is where we want it. We'll just go around some more fasteners, make sure she's locked down good. And the obvious next step is to get the top plate all put together. Same process, we're just laying it on the ground, glue it, stack it, check it, nail it, and then we'll build some brackets hanging from the joists up above to where we can try to get this thing held somewhat in place and give us a little bit of adjustment so we can get her all installed. Because after this is the studs, and that's gonna be a good time. Working hard or hardly working, bud? Yeah? Working hard, you're doing a good job. So we're just gonna go around, laser up the outside of this. That's it, nail it. Oh, I got this here, it makes me taller. There we go. Okay. So with the bottom plate and the top plate installed, we can start putting our studs in. Let me go down here and show you what we did on the bottom. And we're just gonna do the same thing up top. But we talked about it on this video. We wanna make sure these studs stack. And normally we stack studs to make sure that there's a chaseway for utilities if need be, or in the future if you go add a chaseway for utilities, if everything's stacked, it makes it easier to do. But my main concern with the stacking the studs, why I'm focusing on that, is whenever we go to put this interior wall finish on, the studs are stacked. Because if that stud's there and then this stud's in the middle, that's gonna, I don't know, it's just not gonna work, you know what I mean? Like, it's just gonna finish weird, it's gonna lay weird. I'm just leveling up from that first stud and then we'll just lay out around. Okay, we'll start there and then we'll lay out on around. Then we're just going to take the laser, same thing, just transfer that line up to there. So the next problem we're working through I want these studs to plane so that the finish just looks good on the inside, but I can't just run the level like I'd hoped to because of the rough finish of the way we got the laminated plywood going. So I think I'm just gonna make a simple jig that will span that and give us some straight edges to reference here. So I can take that, kick it down on the 2x4, and then I can bump that stud right to this face, and that's how we know we're planing good across there. Do the bottoms first. I'll do the top. So you can see I'm going through and we're just getting these plumbed up. We've got the bottom established where we want it with that little jig we made, and now we're just shooting them plumb. From there, we've got the laser mark for, left to right, but as far as in or out of the stairwell, I don't have a mark for that. And even though you would think, well, Mike, but your top plate, you should just be able to line it up with that. We talked about it, it's not perfect. So we're getting the studs as perfect as we can. That is the last radius wall. Now we still have to do where the ends tie into the regular walls. And we'll have to do some railings in the future as well for the exposed landing section. I really want this thing to be as perfect as possible. We're talking about a wall from the basement, the main level, into here, just flowing, looking good, right? I also have realistic expectations that I've never done anything spiral staircase or radius wall stairwell before. So there's gonna be a lot of work on the finishing side of things, and there's gonna be a point where we just say, hey man, it's a rental, good enough. Looks good for my house, which I can't see from here. So that's, so if you remember up here where you're sitting up there is kind of gonna be a bedroom, sleeping area. And then we're gonna have a small bath up here. And there's gonna be a tiny little, and I love these, so this is what I wanna do. There's gonna be a tiny little reading nook back here. I mean, you got these two massive windows in the room, so it's gonna feel very large to you. But just a little reading nook, a place for mom or dad to go up here and get away from the chaos that's happening in the basement. That's what this point is for. It's two farthest opposite corners of the building. Chaos, calm. So the bathroom dilemma. Initially, this was just gonna be a half bath. Plenty of room for a half bath right here. And then the more we thought about it, we thought, man, pretty inconvenient that you got to go all the way downstairs if you want to take your shower in the morning or that kind of thing before you go to bed. So we thought, let's see if we can't squeeze a small stall in here. And I'm confident we can. It'll be tiny. I think the code minimum is 31 inches, which is why a lot of places sell 32 by 32 shower stalls, and you can get a 32-inch radius stall, which is what we want to do. And then we'll have a tiny corner pedestal sink. And believe it or not, there's code on clearances between a toilet and a sink. And a toilet and shower, the clearance you have to have around the toilet, the clearance around the sink, the clearance around the shower. So it should be corner shower, corner pedestal, commode right here in the middle. It's a small bathroom, small shower, still better than having to go all the way downstairs. So a little bit of a modification on that, but I think it's gonna be better in the long run. Foot right there. Four foot. And then we're looking for 5. A bird just hit the window. I'll be dipped. I just put the things in. There's my mark, 5 foot. Well, we got something right. What a treat, huh? So we're just coming square off this radius. Downstairs in the bedroom, we're letting the radius play out. But up here, we're just squaring off. This is gonna be the width. chalk that. We'll have to cut a little bit of a radius on it, I guess. Just like that. That'll work. Very nice. So I just used a 2x4 to plane across those to make sure that plane's right, and then measured between those two to make sure it is where it needs to be on both ends. We'll gently pull this away, make myself a reference line. Sweet top plate, we'll lay it here for layout purposes. Love it. It's wrong. I don't know why it's wrong. I had trimmed a little bit off my radius there, but we got her now, I think. Everything matches measurement-wise. Everything's in a good straight line. Very nice. Who put that there? Looks like the same thing. I had to trim it right there on the bottom so it would fit on there right. Looks like we got to do the same thing on this one. Okay. Just a little time consuming doing these sections, but if we take the time now, it's going to make the finish that much smoother. So we should be able to go in a little bit now. So we're working on this one. I've got the layout on. Now we need to put the door in. The door's gonna swing out. Somebody's gonna say, why not a pocket door? I hate pocket doors. I just don't, not a fan. You want something to annoy you? Want to work on something constantly? want to be wondering, man, I wonder what's in that crevice back there by a pocket door. You know what I mean? We're just going regular. It's going to swing open that way. There's enough clearance for it to open. Yeah, we can make this work. Going to go ahead and get this section nailed together, and then I'm just going to get it stood up and slid out of the way and open the floor up. That way we can go ahead and lay out the last wall and get it nailed together on the floor as well. Not that you can't throw a top plate and a bottom plate up and toenail everything in. Certainly a possibility. It's what we did on the radius walls. But if I've got the option, I just prefer to lay it on the ground. You know, do it the old-fashioned way. And the camera died. You know, cool. Anyway, here it is in all its glory. Love it. So you'll notice this one doesn't have the top plate yet. Thought that might make things a little easier. It's got the top plate, not the double top plate. So anyway, here we go. And we can just slam the double in once we get her where we need her. Yep. Got the nail gun again. It'll balance. It's the worst thing that happens. It falls and breaks the new windows. Yep. Yep, that would be it. Bigger tapping device. Oh, perhaps too aggressive. A little more. A little more. I like things tight. Some people don't like my walls being so tight. That's okay. It's not their walls. I don't really care. Oh, too far. That's perfection. All right, so here we go. We got a few of these bad boys, huh? That'll do the trick. We'll have to get some blocking across the joist up there since that section of wall doesn't land on anything. Now we can get this attached where it needs to be. Oh man, I love when a plan comes together. Now you might be thinking, man, Mike, you're getting close to being finished. I mean, how much more framing could there be in a little space? A lot. There's just so much. So we still got to get a stud there and a stud there for that wall, because these are for the radius wall, right? So we got to get a couple studs here. I need to get all my drywall nailers. There's no reason we can't just go ahead and get those slapped on. This is a bunch of railing from when we had the railing around the opening, and I just saved all that material. And it's perfect material to use to slap on the back side of this. So whenever you put your drywall on, if there's nothing back here, you know what I mean? Just flopping around like a salmon back there, and you're not going to have any good securement. So we got to put nailing blocks on there. Same on the top side there, and terminate that wall. This is the perfect thing to burn up all these good scrap pieces of the lumber with. I just keep them around for the build. We get through it, and they always end up coming in handy. And even if I don't use it on the build, guaranteed, it'll go in an IBC tote, sit down at the gym, and we'll store it there for my kids to sort through one day as if it's a great treasure that Dad left him. You know, something cool like a 2-foot 2x4. Got the first one in, just notched it with the jigsaw. Same thing on the top. Fit perfect, and then we just got to get this one installed. This has been a challenge, which is to be expected when you're building something crazy, but check out. They all plane pretty good. Except for that, there's a big old honking gap on that one, but this stud is part of the radius wall on that side, not part of the bathroom wall, so that's fine. The rest of it though, let me show you. The rest of them all making contact. No crazy gaps, everything looks really good. Just that one stud, which is on this separate wall. And if you're thinking that's a lot of trouble for that wall, whenever you could have just built one piece wall and, you know, scooted it out so it was stacked like this. Believe it or not, I need that 3.5 inches for the clearances I have to have in the bathroom. 3.5 inches can be a big deal, man. It can be a big deal, all right? So where this wall ends, I think I'm just gonna, right here, just, you know, right there. We'll just throw a double 2x4 in right there, and then we'll just trim off the excess. Now the landing is gonna be over there, obviously, and what we'll do, we talked about it, for this short section, we'll just have an open rail. My battery might be about dead. Beautiful. We've already checked, but this is planing with this outside wall. That's the important measurement for us. So the next obvious step is terminating this end of the wall. And I think I might just go, because I want this door to open greater than 90. Just helps us if we're moving stuff. We're going to make a section of the railing there removable so we can move stuff up through the door if we need to. So it'd help if it opened up more than 90. It would also help if it opened up more than 90 for getting onto the staircase right in line with this thing. So what I'm thinking, let's just cut back a little bit at a time and see where we like it. You know, let's just good old-fashioned experiment here. I feel like that's going to be, I mean, see where it's at. I mean, I'd run right into it. I have a head height requirement. You have to have a certain amount of head clearance on the stairs. On a spiral stair, where I'm at, 6'6". If I went off of that stair right there. So at the minimum, if I move it down to that stair, plenty of room. I'm 6'6" here. Let's mark this out. This step. And that gives me 7 foot. The furthest I could possibly bring that landing over and have the clearance I need is gonna be 4 inches over from this. And let me hit that with the laser just to make sure my math is mathing here. And cut it right here and see how that feels. Oh, look at that. That's perfection. That's great. Looky here. Let me put you in line with the door there. Huh? Yeah, that's the ticket. Not that you're gonna come right up here and walk right out the door, but if a fellow wanted to, or if you wanted to open the door and walk straight down the stairs, you're there. There's no awkward transition to get around. You're right there, man. I mean, we're right in line with the pipo here. Weird way to say that, but we did it anyway, didn't we? The other thing is if you're carrying something awkward up the stairs, and I don't know what the heck you'd get up these stairs awkward, but if you need to open the door to get some space out on the deck, you know. That's what we're looking for. So once I get this little section of wall pieced together, that should be it for the wall framing upstairs. There's still some other things we have to do. You can see all this, the light coming in above the top of the wall. Obviously we have to get all that blocked in at some point. And after thinking about it all day, that guy that made the suggestion that for the wheelhouse, just cut it and make it an opening, I'm absolutely falling in love with that idea. We'll talk about that more a little bit later, and then we'll show you all the thoughts of what these rooms are gonna be. I want to problem solve. I need to figure out where that toilet flange is going to come out, because we're going to have to frame bulkhead in for the plumbing to get back down the chase on that side. This gets squared off like that, and the plumbing will run from up to that bathroom down through that plywood corner, because this is all concrete floor, and work its way to that stack right there. So 12 inches off finished is the way I've always done it. So 12 and a half off a rough. Some people do it different, is what it is. Look at that. All the clearance required. This way doesn't necessarily matter as much as just this way. I just need to know what joist cavity I'm gonna be in. So I'm just gonna run a screw down through the floor, and then we can see it from the bottom. Oh, perfect. Two things. One more nest. Look at the screw. Look where we're at. Oh man. That's center of the flange. The flange is 4 inches. It couldn't be in a worse spot. Daggone it. Well, I gotta figure that out. We can box it out with double joist. Let me give you the grand concept. Right here is going to be a queen bed. From that king stud to that king stud is 60 inches. The queen bed is 60 inches wide. And to right about there, that's 80 inches. So this will be a queen bed, which will look pretty cool. The door has plenty of clearance past it. Opens all the way up. Walk through this way, railing right through here. We come past here. We've got the bathroom. Still working on the final layout, but we'll get her tweaked enough. Bathroom for sure. This is the book nook area. Think of 2 high back chairs, footstool for each one, nice table between the 2 of them, a couple sconces on that back wall with a shelf for some books. Even though it is a small space physically, you have these massive windows on either side of you. Just a nice, calm, relaxing spot to hang out in. And we'll probably even put a small TV right there in that wall. If people want it, great. If not, also great. They could put the fireplace videos on. Wouldn't that be a treat? What we're leaning towards now on this is just boxing this out. Leaving me a ledge on each side so I can get up and do maintenance if I need to, but just boxing it out so it just acts like a giant skylight. We can put a ship's wheel up there and a couple other things so people can come up and just look at it. I think it'll be cool. I don't think there's a feasible way for us to get somebody up and down to there safely that insurance would be happy about. Insurance being happy is the key phrase there. And then this one you already know, this is gonna be the little kitchenette area, galley style kitchen, very small stainless steel countertops is what we're looking like you kind of see on the galley of a boat, with maybe ideally kind of a bar style sitting area right there where you could put a couple bar stools and look out that window. That's kind of what we're leaning towards. And then this, obviously another bedroom, door across there. Queen size bed in this as well. There's enough room for a king, but we're gonna do 2 queens. That way every sheet's the same size, every blanket's the same size, It just makes the whole process a little easier on our end of the operation. The biggest mystery right now is what to do with that toilet flange and how to arrange that to work. So if you got suggestions, I'll take them at this point. Might not use them, but I'll definitely listen to you. This door, also half glass with grid. You'll see it in the next video, because next video we are right back on this thing. Every Monday and Thursday. This should be Monday's video, so hopefully we'll see you guys on Thursday. It looks like a boat. I'm so glad you guys are hanging out with us for this journey, and I hope I get to see you on the next one.